President Bola Tinubu is in Rwanda as we speak, and earlier on, President Bola Tinubu spoke about the youth population in Nigeria and how strong they are. Let me allow you to listen to one of the sound bites of President Bola Tinubu speaking about trade investment in Nigeria and how the African continent needs to come together to push one agenda of making the continent greater. Take a listen to President Bola Tinubu.
Nigeria, I would say, and speaking for Africa as African champion, putting our spirit behind what we talk about is creating a platform. Look around the entire continent, 54 countries. There's none of us without a particular commodity available in the country or the other. Why not start an exchange commodity platform where we can trade with one another? This year alone, I can beat my chest that Nigeria is attracting close to $20 billion foreign direct investment. It's because unwind the bottlenecks, be efficient, be transparent, be open. There's no intellectual capacity that is deniable by the rest of the world.
Okay.
So President Bola Tinubu's latest diplomatic and economic outreach to East Africa is raising major questions about Nigeria's place in the rapidly changing African economy, from high-level engagement at the Africa CEO Forum 2026 in Kigali to strategic talks in Kenya and Rwanda. The administration says the mission is about attracting investments, expanding trade opportunities, strengthening regional influence, and opening new doors for Nigerian businesses and young entrepreneurs. But beyond the handshakes, further opportunities and investment promises, many Nigerians are asking the question, what do these trips really mean for jobs, prices, industries, small businesses, and the everyday economy back home here in Nigeria? And joining me tonight on the program to break it down for us and give us an insight into what are the gains for the average person is the Minister of Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, who is live for us virtually from Addis Ababa. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us tonight. Let me begin by asking you, Minister, figures to the fact that Nigeria's total merchandise trade stood at about 71 trillion in 2024 alone, and Africa emerging as a major export destination under the CFTA framework. So when we imagine, Honorable Minister, what new trade value, export expansion, or investment inflows are expected from the president's trip to Kenya and Rwanda, and some of the sideline engagement that we have seen that could benchmark the government's intention? Those who ask simply, the benefits, what are the gains?
Thank you very much, John. Thanks for having me this evening. So this particular tour that Mr. President has gone on in Kenya and Rwanda signifies the leading position that Nigeria has on the continent. President Bola Tinubu is one of the most important presidents on the continent because of Nigeria's position, because of Nigeria's population, because of Nigeria's economy. And his counterparts really wanted him at these two events. Now, the Africa-France Summit, Africa Forward, was an important one where Nigeria played a really key role. On the sidelines, the Nigeria-France Business Council had an impactful meeting, and overall, about 40 CEOs around the table talking about green industrialization, 23 billion euros in new commitments, 9 billion out of which came from African investors. And so we see a situation where the discussion focused on Africa moving Africa forward. We're seeing the global headwinds, a lot happening in the Middle East and across the world. And so African entrepreneurs, in particular, Nigeria really leading that delegation with Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Dr. Rabiu, Ig, Imokade, several people, Tony Numelu, were in the rooms. You asked what this means for Nigeria. Shoreline, Kola Karim signed with Accord a deal that will see 10 new hotels coming into Nigeria. Already, the first one is under construction at Port Harcourt and will be completed in about 4 months. They'll have 2 in Abuja. They'll have several across the country. We definitely know that there's huge potential in our hospitality sector. Hospitality globally is one of the places where you have upward mobility. You don't even need a degree to work in hospitality, and yet you get skills that are transferable across several sectors. Hospitality employs so many people across the world. It's one of the fastest leading areas for job creation, and so that's an important one. You also saw financial services leading the way again. Zenith Bank, they just had another signing in Abidjan, but in Nairobi, Zenith Bank acquired another bank in East Africa, so growing their operations across the continent. This is what really, really determines how Nigeria positions itself in Africa and across the world.
Yeah. So
Secure
Minister,
ID is another company. Yes, go on, please.
Yeah, so I mean, the critical question here is that signed deals, engagement, agreement, these are the things that we are hearing. But Minister, on the ground, you do know that inflation is still very high, cost of living is still rising, and debt servicing is still on the high side, and crowding out spending. So what direct, and those are what my audience tonight watching this program will perhaps not your typical economic and figure-driven audience will be asking. They want impact-driven, measurable,
Let me break it down to
exact
Nigerians.
values.
Let me break it down to Nigerians. You know what? There's no shortcut. The Tinubu administration in the last 3 years have taken the difficult reforms, and we are at an inflection point. What we're going for, the jugular, is job creation, growth across the country. We prioritize the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. We started our subnational tour. We went to Kano a couple of weeks ago, telling Nigerians how to leverage this agreement. President Tinubu taking the charge and leading. It was in Kenya and is currently in Rwanda to make sure that Nigeria is well positioned. At the senior level, you're talking about deep investments. Nigeria is France's most important market in sub-Saharan Africa, and we have like over 4 billion euros coming in from France into the Nigerian economy. That is how you create jobs. There's no other way. Across sectors, not the usual oil and gas extraction and access. You have manufacturing, you have Danone, so many things that we've seen that this is what it means to drive economic growth. It's slow, it's steady, and this is what creates jobs and makes growth.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You mentioned areas and sectors that can easily give you the quick wins, the low-hanging fruit. Tech is one of them. Manufacturing is one of them. You can have a compound, massive inflow or outflows of people getting jobs and getting opportunities, and the economy really being revitalized. But it does look like Kenya and Rwanda are way ahead of Nigeria. We are gradually looking like spectators in terrains that we have flourished. What difference? Are we learning anything?
No, Nigeria is the digital trade champion for Africa. Others are looking to us. Digital public infrastructure across the board. Nigeria tech community is the highest attracting market for FDI across the world in that sector. By far, no way will we say that Kenya and Rwanda are far ahead of us. It's just impossible to say that. The size of the Nigerian market dwarfs the markets that you're talking about. There's a reason why those presidents
did you see the Rwanda digital hub in Kigali? Did you visit that village?
I've seen it. And have you seen exactly what we're also building in Nigeria?
Oh, I've not seen what we're doing in Nigeria. I'm hoping to see it. I mean,
I'll tell you.
It will be good to see it.
We have some surprises coming up that are in the pipelines. I already told you about hospitality. We also have some convention centers that are going to create huge ecosystems job creation across different states across the country. We've talked about bilateral trade. You know, last year we started an air cargo corridor with Uganda Air. We're in early talks with Rwanda Air for services so that our non-oil exports can grow across the continent. This is deliberate work that the Tinubu administration has been going on. You saw it yourself, the figures of our non-oil exports are up. You just can't deny that. It's not about the flash and, we're taking it systematically. The figures are going up and we continue to stay focused and deliver on what we said we're going to do.
Minister, Nigeria first, Africa first, those are some of the words that the president said earlier today. And there are those who imagine that the opportunities are very huge. You mentioned some of the biggest billionaires, entrepreneurs, and business owners. They are of Nigerian descent. The Aliko Dangotes, the Femi Otedolas, the Bua, the Dr. Mike Adenuga of Globacom. These are giants in the space that you can reckon with. But it does look like South Africa, for example, disrespect us so much. Yeah, large economy. And those who are really feel pain that Nigerians who are doing business legitimately in that country are being chased away and are being attacked. Is our country really serious about
what we're going to
our
say? You know what? Life is never fair. A lot of different things happen. Even Dr. Rabiu made a statement publicly just about access to South Africa and different things. What we are bent on doing is focusing on delivering for our economy. It's been a slow and steady pace, but we've been seeing the results of the reforms over the last 3 years. There's nobody that can really just deny it. What we need now is the trickling down. And Nigeria first, you've seen our domestic investment focus. They're the best advertisement. What we're talking about and our industry leaders are giants across the continent, not even just, I think Nigerians kind of underestimate how we're received in Kenya, how we're received in Rwanda. Is really, really something that we should be proud of and commend our business champions. They're leading on this continent.
Yeah.
When you look at what is happening across the world, when you look at how Total CEO was talking about how they're using jet fuel supplied by the Dangote refinery to supply Europe, we really have a lot to be proud of as an economy. And the private sector in Nigeria are believing in the Tinubu administration and the reforms. That's why they could come and represent and show proudly with Mr. President. And we're seeing it step by step. So I'll just say that we stay our course, we don't be distracted, and the best is yet to come.
Minister, I'm not sure you've gotten your luggage just yet, and thank you for creating time just as you touched ground and speaking with us, because this is actually very important. But let me quickly, so that you don't miss your luggage at that airport, but quickly, Minister, I hope that this government and the APC will not be punished, because you mentioned that it's a gradual, steady, and sluggish improvement that we're seeing. A lot of people will be asking,
I didn't say sluggish. I did not
say slow and steady, rather.
I said gradual. And what it is that a lot of those problems, we won't get into this, although this is politics today. These are legacy issues. And as the CME has said, if the Tinubu administration did not take these steps, I don't know where Nigeria would be right now. I don't know where the Nigerian economy would be right now. Exactly. So we had to do what we had to do. Mr. President has the courage to lead, and he's taken those decisions. He's even told his cabinet, whoever is going to be distracted with politics, step aside. Everybody, he is continuing to work. Everybody is continuing to work. All hands on deck. We're staying focused to deliver for the Nigerian people.
Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, Minister of Trade and Investment. It's a pleasure having you on the program, and thank you so much for explaining some of these issues for us. Please quickly get your luggage so that you don't lose any of those. I appreciate your time tonight on the program.
You're welcome.